All right, so this is the November Fierce Fit Pride Coach Academy recap, and basically this is just going to be, super cash. First things first, I wanted to know if anybody had any questions in regards to, what was, shared with you in the Coach Academy, if there was anything that was sort of left unclear or unanswered for you. Steph, obviously you're the only one on the call right now that, went through it for the first time. Do you feel like there is anything specifically that, you felt wasn't addressed or anything like that?
No, I think that you pretty much covered everything. I think anything that I'm unsure about is more of like myself. You actually just responded to one of my comments on one of the pictures about putting myself out there. So I think that's the only thing that I'm still like scared about.
Absolutely. And, that's something that I think at one point or another, all coaches really struggle with. And that's something that I'm going to address because I have a few little notes here and I've jotted down like, okay, a common theme in some of their posts or their responses to the call to actions was, self-doubt and fear of being more vulnerable on social media. So I'll definitely address that. So I'm glad you brought that up again. One thing that I just want to make sure that everybody knows is that this business is super moldable. It's super pliable, and you can, really craft it into whatever you want it to be. Some people, just sort of look at this opportunity as this surface level thing where, you're selling challenge packs and you're helping people and you're on this journey yourself. But really, it's more of a platform to be able to pursue not just one of your passions, but like literally anything. It can open the door to so many different opportunities and possibilities in your life. So I just always encourage people to think big and to know that, this opportunity can really propel you to incredible heights if you, choose to treat it like a business and you choose to use it as a vehicle to pursue your dreams, so to speak. So one thing that I always encourage my coaches to really hone in on is just, figure out what you want this opportunity to do for your life. I know this business is also very much about people, and that's something that I talk a lot about in the Coach Academy is, this is a people business. It's the business of helping other people and putting people first. But at the end of the day, you have to have this clear vision of where you want to go with this thing and what you want to do and what your pace is going to be, what your goals are, and why you're doing it. And that's going to be different from person to person. Brenna, when she first got started, her vision was very different than it is now. Her pace when she first got started is very different than it is now. So all of this can evolve. It can all change. But I think I know at every point in your journey, it's very important to be clear on that and to communicate that with Brenna, with me, and say, this is the pace that I want to work at. These are my goals for, the first half of the month or, for this month specifically. And just always be very clear on why you're doing this. And that why is going to evolve over time. It absolutely is. My why today is different than it was a month ago, So just keep in mind that, if you're feeling at any point that, oh, maybe I'm like just, sort of uninspired right now, like always just come back to your why and reevaluate what your why is and ask yourself, has that changed? And it's not a bad thing if it has, but just always be clear on what that is so that you have a clear trajectory on where you want to go and what you want to do with this. And then the other thing I wanted to hammer home with you guys tonight is just, it's just so important to just start applying everything that you've learned in the Coach Academy. I know that, obviously it's a lot of information, but when you break it down to its core components, like it's really simple. So, if I had to give you guys advice moving forward, like the key things that you got to take away from the academy and start applying to your business now, for starters, is that, you definitely want to be tracking your business activities using a method that works for you. What works for me may not work for Brenna, may not work for you. And sometimes what works for me 1 minute doesn't work for me a month from now. So, that sort of shifts too. You want to, make sure that you're keeping a list of people that you plan on reaching out to, people who you're forming with, people who you plan on inviting. And, one thing that I find that really helps is, especially to be, time efficient, is sort of writing out just a list of people that I'm going to invite the following day, the night before. So that when I sit down for my power hour or my power half hour, if you have to split it up based on, your schedule, you know what you're doing. Like, you don't want to sit down to do your power half hour or your power hour and be like, okay, I need to figure out what I'm doing, because by the time you figure out what you're doing, so much of that time has already passed.
Yeah, the hour is like over.
It's like over, right? So there is some planning that has to go into that so that you're being effective and time efficient, because time is in short supply for every human. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's super important to just make sure that you have a clear focus on what you're going to be doing every single day. And, having a schedule too is always super important, because obviously you have work, maybe you have school, like everybody has a different schedule. And so you want to make sure that you're saying, okay, from this time to this time, this is when I'll do my personal development. This is when I'll do my power half hour, my second power half hour. This is, when I'll do this, my workout, and have my shake, whatever it is. But just make sure that you don't just sort of fly by the seat of your pants, because that's when things sort of get lost. You become uninspired, I feel like, anyway, from my own personal experience.
Yeah.
Let's see. The other thing, I would say share at least one nugget from your health and fitness journey every single day on social media with value. So when I say with value, and I touched upon this, I believe it's in my social media do's and don'ts video from the Coach Academy, making sure that, rather than just saying, oh, I did my MMA speed workout today, talk about what that means. Nobody knows what that means.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, it's super important to make sure that you're not only telling people what you're doing, but showing and explaining people like what you're doing, the changes you're noticing, the changes you're feeling, how it's changing you from the inside out. Good marketers always tell stories. So if you can make a story out of every single nugget that you're sharing, both with your personal life posts and, this journey posts, that's tremendously important. People relate to stories.
Did I make that today with my post?
Huh?
Did I make that mistake with my post today? I think it was like the shortest sentence. And
I don't know which one you're talking about. I'll have to go back and check. But even if you did, honestly, okay, and Brenna can attest to this, because there were times last year when time hop is the devil. So I can't tell you, like, some of the atrocious social media posts that I made. Like, making a short post isn't atrocious. Putting up a salesy post is atrocious. So I think I probably showed you guys in that video. It's been a while since I made that social media do's and don'ts video, but I showed you, like, this is what not to do. Those were my old posts from when I first got started as a coach. Because the thing is, my coach got started coaching a month before I did. So she was failing forward at the same time that I was. And we just both sort of like flew by the seat of our pants trying to figure out this whole thing. I didn't really have somebody in my upline mentoring me saying, what the hell are you doing? But, no, like short posts, like it's whatever, like every single step that you take on this journey, every single day, like you'll learn something new. You'll learn what works more effectively than other things. And you're going to notice based on post engagement too. If people are responding really well to it, you know that it's something good. It's something of value. If people are inquiring about something, it's, you know, evoking some intrigue in people who are watching. So don't beat yourself up over any of your posts, because part of this process is failing forward, and not necessarily even just failing, but just learning. And that's how, you know, you grow.
Yeah.
So definitely share at least one nugget from this journey every single day. Stay consistent with your personal development, because, I mean, especially where self-doubt and fear are concerned, and those are like the two most common seeds that are planted in everybody's head when they start out on a new endeavor like this. It's so important to fuel your brain with the good feels and the warm fuzzies and that reassurance and that inspiration, and to read it or to listen to it from somebody else's perspective and realize this is normal. But as you, I mean, and Brenna can attest that she's like the PD queen. She reads or listens to so many books in like such a short amount of time. Like I can't tell you like the mindset transformation that I have seen in Brenna over the past just year, like not even year, just like the past, I don't know, Bren, probably since like, I'm trying to think, like
May.
Yeah, I was just going to say like springtime, like May. So personal development is powerful, like powerful. And that's why it's one of the 4 vital behaviors. So, you know, make sure that you're reading books that are going to speak to areas where you're shaky or feeling like, you know, you need that extra TLC. And that's just going to be really important. Staying focused on your own journey too, so that you're inspired and you're being a product of the product. Like obviously if you believe in these products and these programs and how they're changing your own life, you're going to be able to share that so much more effectively on social media, in conversations with people, both in person and online. And that's key, you know, like if you don't believe in something, it's hard to share it with other people. The same, like if you had a really incredible experience at a restaurant somewhere, you're going to talk that restaurant up to your friends. You know, it's no different, except this offers people a new lease on life.
Right,
So
rather than good food.
Right, exactly. So it's that much more powerful. And then another nugget I would say is start adding to your network now. So, you know, make sure you're in Facebook interest groups, which I noticed that you said you were, which is great. And, you know, just, you know, connect with people naturally in there, and don't be afraid to connect with people and add those people to your network. And if they don't accept, then whatever, who cares?
So I added one girl from a group. I was like, let's try this out. Let's see how it goes. And I think I talked to Brenna about it. And she was posting some of the most negative things I've ever read. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can connect with this girl, because she's just it was just some really hateful things that she was posting about. It was all political. And I was like, oh, I don't want to be a part of this. So I ended up removing her from my page because I just couldn't.
Yeah, that's fine. If you know that her vibe is not your tribe, see you never. Like, I wouldn't worry about it at all. There have been people that I've defriended too, because I'm just like, I can't even have your energy as a part of my bubble.
Yeah, that was literally what it was. I was like, I can't. This girl every day, multiple times a day, was sharing some really negative stuff, and I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, no, that's totally understandable. Not everybody you're going to add is going to be, you know, your piece of cake or your cup of tea, whatever the phrase is. And it's totally fine to see you later. So
I've added and kept some of those people. So, like, I actually deleted someone today. I was, like, going to have a new message with her because I'd never had a message with her before. And, like, I told this on the last, it wasn't this team call, on a team call before. It was actually for my success partner Jessica's team. And it was one team call that we had done about how the girl was like, don't think too hard about messaging new people. Just say, hey, thanks for adding me. How are you doing? It's Tuesday. How wacky is that? And then just compliment them on one thing. So that's what I do now, and it makes it so much less like stressful, because it's just like, Steph, if you got a message that was like, hey, I saw your profile picture. I really like your glasses. How are you? Like, you would be like, oh, who is this chick? She likes my glasses. Like,
Yeah.
there's no that you wouldn't like her. And I could not find one thing on this girl's profile that I liked. It was like inappropriate, and then like, I mean, she was using like the N-word and stuff, and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna delete this girl. But then there's other girls who had, like I told you, like so many of my friends did crazy political stuff, and I have tons of friends of like in like Washington and California now, and they're like, they hate Trump apparently, but they like, one of the girls, like I just have a feeling that like she's so sweet and she really like needs the help, and she's got like so much going on in her life. So I feel like it's not ready now, but like I don't want to defriend her, because I feel like I can actually connect with her and help her at some point. So you will still see a ton of negative stuff. Mm-hmm. Don't get too upset about it.
It was just like, I don't know. I think
definitely delete them.
Like, I don't care like who she wanted or didn't want or whatever, but it was just like our views were different, and I don't believe in posting about political things. So I don't think it's anybody's business really. But she things that like the person that I was in favor of, like pretty much saying that I was like a bad, not saying like me personally, you know, but like generalizing the group like was a bad group. And I was like, what? Like, and it was like a bunch of times a day. And I was like, I don't want to be a part of this.
Yeah. And, you know, to that, you just be like, I'm with you, because I just don't need that energy. And if you don't feel like connecting with the person, then you know right away it's not a match. Swipe left next. So, and then the last piece of advice I would have is just don't overcomplicate things, because it's really easy, like as you dive into this business more, to overcomplicate things. And this business is, you know, it can be easy as long as you just do what you're supposed to do, and, you know, stay focused on what you need to do every day. And that's the 4 daily vitals. So like I said, especially in the beginning, you know, just focus on what you need to do to reach your specific goals. And like I said, that's something that, you know, Brenna and me too, if you need my help as well, like we're both here to help you guys with setting your goals and, you know, figuring out those action steps that you need to take to ensure that you reach those goals. And, you know, maybe there are going to be times where you're like, okay, like this pace is too fast for me right now. I need to like tap the brakes just a little bit. And then we adjust and get back on course. So, I always recommend scheduling one-on-one calls with your upline to just sort of touch base, especially in the beginning. Like weekly calls are, you know, definitely key. It's telling me we have 10 minutes left. So like, it doesn't have to be a super long call. It could be 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever works, just to, you know, touch base. Or if it's easier to just voice message back and forth, that's fine too. But, you know, like I said, just have a clear vision about where you want to go with this so that you can reverse engineer those goals and figure out what action steps you need to take to get there. And then to speak to the self-doubt and the fear and the vulnerability component of things, you know, I know what it's like to be like, oh my gosh, I do not want to share this, whether it's a really deep, dark secret kind of a thing, or just like something that, makes your heart fall into your butt before you press the post button, like just something really big and scary. And you're wondering, like, how are people going to respond to this? Like, honestly, the best thing that this business has taught me is that everything good exists outside of your comfort zone. So here's your comfort zone. Here's all the good stuff. It happens out here. And, like I said before, I think I mentioned it in a comment earlier to one of your posts in the Coach Academy. It's just that, like, I've had the most post engagement on my vulnerable posts, and I've had more messages in my inbox, people reaching out to me being like, oh my gosh, like, I just want to tell you how powerful it was that you shared XYZ. Like, I can really relate to that too. And then, like, finding empowerment in that what I shared somehow helped other people. And I'm also able to see, like, okay, these people are my tribe, the people who are responding well to what I'm putting out there, whether it's, a really hard situation that, happened in my life. For example, part of my story, I'm not sure if you know my story, but part of my story that I've shared on social media, which was very difficult for me to share, was when I was 14 years old, I was raped. And that's something that I shared for the first time publicly. I was asked to speak at a Super Saturday and share my story almost a year ago. And that was actually a really healing experience for me on my journey, because, for the first time, not only was my voice being heard by people who follow me on social media, but it was heard, by a room full of people who I didn't even know. It was like the scariest but most liberating thing in the whole world, honestly. And I can't tell you how many women have reached out to me over the past 2 years to tell me that happened to me too. And I just have to commend you on your courage for sharing that. And people who are my clients who I never knew were victims, or survivors rather. I use the word survivors. Reaching out to me being like, I just want to tell you, like, I know that this is part of your story and your journey, and I want you to know that it's actually a part of mine too. Like, after months of working with them. But that's what attracted them to me. That's why they wanted me to be their coaches, because I had that life experience, that understanding, and they felt like they were going to be taken care of in my hands. And so when you share, like, the hardest parts of your story with people, the right people flock to you. They want to be in your care. And that's, at the end of the day, that's just, it's so important. And it's so powerful, because you're going to be able to help the people who relate to you on that deep, maybe sometimes difficult level. You're going to be able to help them so much more, because you have that in common with them, whatever that common struggle or that common part of your story is. So, every time your heart falls into your butt when you go to click post, know that you're doing something right, because there is going to be somebody out there who responds to it. Even if they don't message you, they see it and it impacts them and they don't forget it. And, this business is really all about, like, sharing how you've overcome different struggles in your life. You have this struggle, but here's how you're rising from it. And here's how you're using that to empower other people. And there's like no better gift than that, honestly. If you can change someone else's life through your own story, no matter how difficult it is to share it, I think there's so much power in that. So there's that, but also I always tell my coaches, and Brenna's like, this is probably the 100th time I've heard this, but I always tell my coaches, tell fear that it has no place behind the driver's wheel. It can ride shotgun, because it serves a purpose. It's there as a defense mechanism, but it cannot be in charge of where you're going in this life, because it cripples you. You just have to have a clear focus, a clear vision on where you're going. And, you just have to let it sit beside you and just go forward, because at the end of the day, there are people every single night who have people like us in their prayers, praying that somebody like one of us will reach out to them and extend a helping hand, you know, offering them a way out of their loneliness, their struggle with their health, their struggle with their happiness, their lack of self-love. Maybe it's, you know, their struggle financially. They need an out. And we hold the key to all of that. We just have to believe in that and know that what we share is just life-changing. So as long as you can really keep that in the forefront of your mind, I think it's going to make being vulnerable that much easier for you. So hopefully that helps.
Wow, that was a lot, but I really appreciate you sharing that with me. That does help, because obviously we all have our own struggles, and I think putting it out there is the hardest part. But I know what you mean when you say, like, if I'm afraid to post it, it means I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing a good thing, so I can help other people who have the same problems.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's the hardest thing. It really is. But there's nothing more liberating, honest to God. And it will just show you the good in people too. Nobody's going to look at a vulnerable post like that and be like, I can't believe she shared that. You know, like, people get inspired by vulnerability, because in vulnerability there is courage, and there is nothing more empowering than courage. So just like hold on to that. And, you know, if ever you're like, I need somebody else to read this before I post it, like, feel free to share it with us, or share it in the PS Coaches page, because you have a group of people who are cheering you on every step of the way, you know?
Usually bothered Brenna with that.
That's her job.
Not okay.
As long as you send it in one thing, it's much easier. I was like, Steph, I just can't put it together in my brain. We talked about it over like 3 days, and I was like, no, I need it. I need to read it now.
Gotta be cohesive, yeah. Well, we actually have less than a minute, so I don't want to get cut off. But like I said, if you ever have anything, you know, feel free to share it in PS Coaches page and tag people. You know, tag Brenna, tag me, whoever, for our input. Would be more than happy to be like, do it. So, healthier to ride shotgun. Here is a whiny, crying little baby bitch. You, my friend, are not that. So just keep plugging forward.
Okay.
All right, you guys. I will talk to you soon, and I'll share the recording with you guys, okay?
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.